Let me tell you about some things that I only learned of late. I've been married now 30 years, and I'm a very slow learner. So when you try and practice your life as a Catholic, you are, to a large extent, you might seem extreme. You're going to daily Mass. I remember on my honeymoon looking for the daily Mass wherever we were. That was somewhat annoying to my wife. What are you doing? It's not Sunday. And I was like, yeah, I know, but let's just, don't worry about it. Anyway, so it is somewhat troublesome for some people, but it's not, because it should fill you with joy. It should fill you with the love and joy that you need to survive, to be who you should be in Christ. But there's a key, knowing that you're supposed to express that love and joy. See, women are different than men. Men are, they read cues less, let's put it that way. Have you ever seen the ad for the Manslater on TV? No? Okay. Who's read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, or heard about the concept anyway? Wow, okay. So these were popular books a long time ago. It's a popular YouTube video. Because it speaks to the different ways men and women communicate. I like to translate it as men speak English, women speak hinting. But that's not really fair. But to give you an example, the Manslater commercial, which I won't play for you because it's not all that proper, but it is about a guy says to his wife, "So dear, the guys said they'd like to go out. Shall we do that? Can I go?" And she, of course, looks over and says, "Sure." And then he whips out his Manslater, which is the translator from women speak to men speak, and he clicks on it, and sure, that means, no, I don't want you to go out. I want you to stay home with me. So he says, "You know what, dear? I've decided I'm just going to stay home with you, and we're going to watch something that she wants to watch or whatever." And she's like, "Oh, that's so wonderful." But the point was, she was saying, in English, sure, but she was saying, absolutely not, in that hinting language that women do. It takes a long time it took me a long, let's say me. It took me a long time to understand that this was a language barrier. I'll give you a real life example of how embarrassing it is. I'll let you judge. So we were married now probably, we must have been like 5 years, 6 years. And this one week, it was in the summertime, my wife said just about every day of the week, "Wow, look, the grass is growing longer." And I would look outside and say, "Yeah, it is." At 10 p.m. on Saturday night, my wife was very, very upset. And I said, "Dear, what's wrong?" And she said, "All week I've been asking you to mow the lawn, and you never did once." And I racked my brain. And I said, "Dear, I promise. At least as far as I remember, you never once asked me to mow the lawn. I'm going to go right now and mow the lawn." And so I strapped one of those lights, to my head. It's pitch black outside, and I was ready to go mow the lawn. Because I love this woman. I would do anything for this woman, not sin, but anything. And she said, "I asked you all week." And I said, "You never asked me once." And then I learned, the hinting thing. That's terrible. But I'll tell you another. So guys, we have to learn somehow the language is interpretable in a way. You just have to be really awake, and something that's taken me and I'm still not good at it. But let me flip the coin for a second and just talk about the women. So, if your man, if your husband, is ready to do anything for you, including die, at your request, it is not a bad thing. If you want flowers for your anniversary, It is not wrong to say I'd like flowers, and it is wrong to think that because you asked and then got them, it doesn't count. I'm sorry, it does go both ways. So we have to get there. But the reason why I say this is actually because of something that really pertains to the faith. And here's the hardest thing, and this is the lesson I learned really not long ago. So, everything in life is a bit of a challenge because we are beings who are given to concupiscence, to sin, in all sorts of ways. Primarily, it's selfishness. It's thinking of yourself and not others. But we fight that as Catholics and try and live heroically. So, we have 8 children, and when they're all young, there's a lot to do. We had 7 in 9 years, then we lost 3 in a row, and then we have a little guy who's now 12 and is the only one at home because so we had to buy a dog because everybody feels sorry for him. He's an only child. But when you're going through the life of with little kids, it's tough. You're changing diapers. There's usually 2, if not 3, in diapers at one time. They're feeding in the night. They're up. There's all this stuff to do, and it's challenging. And you do it. You kind of grit your teeth, and you do it. But it's the gritting of the teeth, and it's while doing the good, the attitude, the internal thing, which I never thought anybody can see, except women, in their incredible intuitiveness, are able to see. I'm doing all the right things. But apparently, my eyes or my choice of words, my choice to be more silent, or a kind of gruffness that comes from nowhere, or an over-accentuation in saying something almost unrelated, communicates itself such that I don't understand, but it's understood over there. And I'm like, wow. How are you, dear? Oh, I'm fine. Oh my gosh, what's wrong? Wow, really? And so there is a thing about expressing yourself and being. So one of the things that the scriptures talk about is they will know you are Christian by your love. They will know you're a Christian by the joy you have. How do you get to joy in the middle of changing one diaper before the next, but that one's really messy and you get stuff in your fingernails and you're like, oh my gosh, where's the joy? It is there. Imagine if you actually recognize for what it is, what you're experiencing. God allows you to experience a sliver, not even a sliver, like this teensiest bit of his cross in the midst of your horror. But if you see it in that light, that poopy diaper, that frustration, and that's really hard, that frustration with your spouse because they are angry for whatever reason, they're having a bad day. The reception of that can be joy. And that sounds insane, I know, but it's not. If you can think of it for what it really is, an opportunity for you to suffer with Jesus a little bit, this is what the saints got to. They thanked God for the insults. They thanked God for the inconveniences. Woof! Is that a thing? It is a thing. And you know what? It works. You got to try it, though. Really try it. Try thanking God in your hardships. Try being grateful for, that sounds totally insane, but it's not. And that thankfulness, that joy in the midst of all that hell, speaks. It's like that communication thing that the wives seem to get. That translates, that works. You're not saying anything. But apparently you're saying a lot. I only know this from experience. So I can't tell you what or how, but I can tell you it works. And I can tell you it's also the solution often to some of the most difficult things. The most difficult things, at least in my life that I've ever experienced, there's that communication, especially the gap in communication that is a communication all by itself. When you're dealing with tensions, the tensions can be severe, but that joy that you communicate really makes a difference. That's why all of life, all your studies, all your relationships, all your work with the practice of the faith.